So this presentation is going to be how we're rewriting go-to-market in the AI era. So about a year ago, we started a pretty large cross-functional pod within HubSpot to really reimagine our entire go-to-market. For the most part, this is focused on marketing and sales. And I want to give you some of the kind of major trends that we're seeing and where we're actually having success with AI, because there's a lot of hype in AI, a lot of noise in AI. But there are some places where it is truly impacting how we market and sell our businesses. I have too many slides, so I'm going to go pretty quickly first over the first two trends and spend more time on the third trend, because it's where you can get real practical value from AI. So the going very fast over the first two is planned. The reality is your buyer is changing. I spend so much of my time listening to customer calls to figure out how they are buying products and services. And your go-to-market motion is, for the most part, built around consumer habits. And there's three kind of core habits that are changing. The way people want to consume content in B2B is fundamentally changing. People are gravitating away from brands towards individuals. And we'll talk a little bit about that. AI is a better way for people to get their questions answered. That's changing as well. And by the time someone actually comes to your website, nearly 90% of the research is already done. They're not looking to research, they are looking to buy. And I think that's a big difference in terms of how you structure your go-to-market. And so the first kind of trend I want to quickly talk about is one that I think is kind of interesting. And it's the fact that in the last 10 years, the internet and B2B in general has been built on the click economy. We put content out there. We create blog posts, all of this educational content. We gather clicks, and then we convert that into customers. And I think that is going to disappear over time. And we're going to have to focus on how we build influence among our prospects and customers. 6 out of 10 Google searches today result in no click. When you actually add AI mode, it's 8 out of 10. I would not be surprised to see that go to 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 searches will result in no click at all. So clicks are really disappearing. And so the way that we used to create content, blogs, all of these things are changing. But what people are consuming are human-led content channels, YouTube, newsletter, podcasts, where they actually want to connect with an individual. And I really think AI is going to accelerate that trend. This is a pretty good stat. 81% of consumers prefer human content versus AI content. I don't think AI is going to replace the person in terms of what people want to get their content from. And this is the reason, right? Like, AI is an incredible time to be a craft person, but it also creates a lot of content at scale, and a lot of that content is slop. And one of the stupidest use cases in the entire world for AI is automating your LinkedIn comments. But people would do stupid things with technology and ruin it for everyone else. And that creates a bunch of slop. And that means I think this trend is going to accelerate, where people are going to gravitate towards consuming content from other people, which means that's where you're going to acquire your demand. We were lucky in that we bought a company called The Hustle back in 2021 and wanted to invest in this creator economy, this human-led content channels, because we believe B2B would look more like B2C in the future. And over time, we've seen that happen. Today, we generate way more demand from these human-first channels than we ever did from our blogs and all of these kind of branded content channels. The second one is AI engine optimization is going to replace search engine optimization. I think this one is pretty well known, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time of it, but it's a big, huge disruptive trend to how we market and sell our products. It's estimated by 2028, 75% of all organic search traffic will go to an LLM versus Google's 10 blue links. That would be about 25% all of the 25% of all search traffic. That is hugely disruptive, right? 80% of all B2B buyers usually start their process with Google search. In their future, they're going to start it with an LLM. So all of that research happens away from your site. And that metric that you're going to measure is going to be share of voice. Share of voice is, how visible am I in these LLM platforms? And that's a brand metric, not a performance marketing metric, right? It's really hard to measure that. You kind of look at the correlation of that. When I get more visible, are good things happening across my go-to-market emotions? But that's what's happening. You have to really obsess about how visible I am within these LLM platforms, because that's where users are gravitating towards. ChatGPT has 800 million weekly active users. And so we were pretty early here. Like, my main recommendation is like invest in these two things. We were quite early here. We invested in AEO some time ago. We've seen a huge increase in the visibility in these engines. A lot of that comes through how you create niche content, how you get the right citations. We've seen a big increase in citations, and we are seeing a huge increase in referral traffic from these LLM engines. So that's a good thing. There's a new platform. I think ChatGPT eventually will add a paid tier where you can do paid advertising. So we will have a new platform where we can acquire users. So they're kind of the first two trends in terms of how you actually acquire demand. A lot of it's going to go through human-led content, invest in YouTube, podcast, newsletters, these channels with personalities. A lot of it's going to come through your LLMs, your AI engines, and how you show up there. But both of those things are, hard to figure out, what am I getting back? They're less measurable. And so this is the one I want to spend the remainder of the time on, which is how you extract more from less. One of the things I told my team about a year ago is like, this is the era of value, not volume. We are going to acquire less demand over time, but we're going to use AI to extract more value from that demand and close at a higher rate. And you can kind of see this. These people are coming to your website much more qualified. From our own data, when someone comes through an AI engine, they convert at 3 times the rate that they would if they came through Google. There have been reports out there that would show this would be 12 times the rate. So that's a good thing, but it also means all of that research, again, is not happening on your website anymore. It's happening within the AI engines. And so how do I know if I'm being successful with AI? How do I know if I'm creating a really efficient selling team and sales motion? This is one of the metrics that I obsess over. It's a leading indicator to AI being successful for us. It's the MRR per human engagement. So when I deploy AI, is AI able to help the seller be more productive? And the way they're helping the seller be more productive is the value of their touches are going up over time, because they are doing higher value actions because AI is actually assisting them to be a better seller. There's 3 core parts of that value formula that I want to quickly cover off for you here. The first is context layer, data and context. Now, I'm not going to spend a ton of time. This could be a whole entire presentation, but this is the reason that most internal AI projects are failing. There was a great report from MIT, talked about the fact that 95% of all internal AI projects within the enterprise are failing, even though those enterprise companies are spending $30 to $40 billion on these internal AI projects. And I would posit a big part is because of the data and the context layer. Data is the ability to have all of these raw signals, the internal, the external, your structured data, your unstructured data being things like your chat log transcripts, your sales calls. That's been a big unlock for B2B. And to take those raw signals and convert them into reusable context that you can use across your go-to-market journey when you are building AI agents and AI functionality. The most simplistic version I can give you, or example I can give you in terms of the context layer is, let's imagine I build an agent on my website. It's answering questions. I have an agent that's doing my free trial guided tour. And then I have an agent that's prospecting in to those people who have gone through that free trial. I would want to make sure my prospecting agent has the context from that website conversation, from that free trial conversation. So when they craft the email, it has all of that rich context to personalize it to that individual. That is not happening in most companies. The context is not being reused across each AI interaction, so that's why they're failing. There's 3 core sales agents I want to kind of quickly go through. We have a lot. I've never actually, we've never had so many experiments and pilots. It really is an incredible time if you are a curious mind, because there's so much to test. So I'm going to give you 3 examples of agents that we built internally. The website agent, which actually qualifies and sells traffic on our website and in our freemium app. Prospecting agent, and then a discovery agent, which I'm pretty excited by. So the salesbot is our kind of website agent. It's really where we started with agents, really one of our first ones. And what it did originally was it managed all of the low intent conversations within our website and within our freemium app. So it managed about 80% of all conversations. And the reason it did that is because we wanted the human sellers who were on chat to focus on high intent chat. And you can see the MRR per that engagement went up over time. It was like 2x more pipeline generated from the humans, which was great. It was a great outcome. But then we thought, well, why don't we just have that agent do all of the selling as well? And so we taught the agent to actually replicate what the seller was doing through these kind of sales frameworks. We taught it sales frameworks to be able to qualify someone, ask qualifying questions, figure out the nuance of like what problem they really had, and then understand if they could sell them to just buy the product touchlessly or book meetings with a rep. And we saw a huge increase in the amount of meetings that we were booking because we were not restricted by headcount. So we could actually get way more coverage. Like that's one of the beauties of AI is now everyone can have that conversation because we're not restricted by headcount. And the other big thing here is the context layer. We plugged it into our context layer. So it improved with every single chat. We were able to fine tune it, make it better, fine tune it, make it better. But the interesting thing for me is if all of the research is being done outside of your website is really your first sales conversation. It morphs into like an AI SDR. And that's like a multimodal experience. So a multimodal agent can actually show your product, answer questions, bring up the right visual. We have started to test multimodal agents. The engagement has been through the roof. People are spending on average 8 minutes talking to these multimodal agents. And in some cases, we see the conversion rate go way up when someone has talked to a multimodal agent versus just consume content on a website, consume videos. And so I want to play a quick video because the big difference for me is that multimodal agent should just be able to go and demo your product itself, right? That should be your very first sales conversation.
That sounds great.
All right, Russ. This is the contact section, the heart of HubSpot's CRM. Here, you can view, add, and manage every relationship your business has. Everything starts here. Think of contacts as your mission crew. You can filter, search, and customize views to see exactly the info you need. Want to see how to dig into a contact's details, or should I show you how to add a new contact next?
You can show me how to add a new contact.
Here's how you add a new contact. Just hit Create Contact in the top right, and a panel pops out where you enter their email.
So this is your website, right? Your website changes into a seller. That's what I think happens. And that's seller is able to provide a contextual demo of your product. And I think that is a big part of the evolution of go-to-market. The second one, I'm going to run out of time. Okay, so prospecting AI. Okay, so everyone is doing prospecting. Everyone wants to use AI to do prospecting. Most of them are failing. I'm telling you, if you go around the rooms and you say, hey, are you using AI to do prospecting? Yeah, it sucks. It doesn't work that well. And there's some reasons for that. And so I'll get into the reasons. We use prospecting to do email only. That really works when you're prospecting into small companies. When you're prospecting into medium to large companies, you actually need AI to assist the human because you book the meeting through these things called sequences, emails, calls, and social outreach. So the email is supporting the rep. In the small company, the email is able to replace the rep. But how do you do that? Well, it's all about the prompts. It took us 4 to 5 months of prompt iteration to really start to see real results, sitting with reps, going through prompts, trying to get the output to sound much more human. When you buy off-the-shelf prospecting software, they have prompts for everyone. It's not nuanced for your company, so the output is generic. You really have to figure out how to customize the prompts for your needs. The context and data is more important than the prompts. So again, if you don't have a good amount of context or data to personalize that output, it's going to fail each and every time. They're the two that I would focus on. If you want to succeed with AI for prospecting, if you can book meetings through email, AI should be able to do it all. Only if you get the prompts correct and you have good context and data. If you're booking meetings with larger companies, the AI should support the rep. It should write the call transcript, it should write the social outreach, and it should write the email, but the rep has to be in control, and they have to have the ability to edit those things if they want to. That's how you be successful toward AI for prospecting. It's been a huge lever for us, about 30% more meetings each and every month being booked because of this. The next one, if I've done my website agent and now I have my prospecting done, well, when you book the meeting, I want to transition the first sales interaction you have with a human from being a discovery and qualification call to being a closing call. That's how I get my MRR per engagement for my sellers up. which means I want an AI assistant to do the discovery and qualification for me. So when you book a meeting with a sales rep in HubSpot, again, this is a pilot, you will not get this typically, it's within a pilot. You'll see the little link where you can now talk to our AI assistant. And the AI assistant is going to do your first sales conversation prior to you ever talking to one of our reps. Now, this is illustrative purposes. We kind of just put this together for the deck. And so you'll see a quick example of how this works.
I want to close more deals. So I'm trying to get my reps to be more efficient, automate their outreach, and actually close more dollars.
Got it. Let's drill down into the outreach side. Right now, how are your reps handling follow-ups with leads that don't respond right away? Where do things typically slow down in that process?
We're managing everything out of a big Google spreadsheet, and our reps typically only get back to the highest intent leads and don't work them thoroughly enough.
Damn reps, never working leads.
Thanks for sharing that. It sounds like lead follow-up is a key bottleneck.
All right, can you get it, right? So the big thing here is you are trying to gather the context for the rep so the rep can close a deal within a shorter amount of touches and probably close a deal at a higher conversion rate. And so at each point, the AI is assisting the human to be better. And so I've gone from my website agent where it's able to actually close conversations, book meetings. I'm doing my prospecting, so I'm able to prospect into those. And when they book a meeting, they're actually talking to an AI assistant to get all of their context out there, and we pass that on to the rep so the rep can turn their discovery call into a closing call so they can do more of them and generate more revenue. And so then you get to the seller. A big part of what we are doing is trying to ensure that all of our sellers are AI first. And there's a couple of things that we are doing. There's a couple of features I put here. There's a lot that we are doing, but they have the ability to look at deal summaries. So when they look at their deals, they can see AI is flagging risks, it's flagging blockers, it's flagging things that they should know. We have a nudge engine, which is pretty cool. It uses regression analysis, and it says, well, this deal is like this deal, and these are the interactions that help to close that deal. So this is your next best action. So it actually helps the seller to figure out what they should do next. We do priority scoring, what makes a ton of sense. And then we have a pipeline coach. So the pipeline coach, to me, is pretty interesting because it's replacing the typical job of what a sales manager would do. The pipeline coach is trained on that rep's book of business, and it's able to tell them, here are the things I think you should do today to generate more revenue. So it's starting to actually guide the rep in terms of what they should do. So you can see here, we've seen a big increase in incremental deals where when the rep has used the AI. We have 1,200 sellers. They're using they're using AI across about 63% of their active deals. So not exactly where we want to be at the 80%, but we're getting there. Sellers are hard to get to use new tools because they're busy. Some of the learnings that we've had, you have to build it right within their workflow. If it's a thing they have to go and learn that's separate from the usual things they do day in, day out, they will not use them. Micro insights beat dashboards. I kind of skip over that to go the quality of the input really means that is really equal to the confidence of the output, which again, if the one thing that puts sellers off using AI is when the data was wrong. And I'll just leave with the last one. AI has to be a coach, not command. It has to tell the why of why it's suggesting things. That was a big unlock. It can't just say, do this. It says, I think you should do this for these reasons, and then give you accurate data, and the sales rep will trust it over time. And the trust is earned, not launched. The more AI was right, the more the seller trusted it. But as soon as it was wrong, it took a long time to build that confidence back up. So trying to pilot things with reps can be hard because once they've had a bad experience, they don't really want to go back with it, in our experience. So that's, to me, some of the trends. I'll end there. You kind of optimize for clicks. Now you build for influence. You used to do search, SEO. Now you do AI engine optimization. We used to live in the volume era. Now we live in the value era. And I appreciate everyone turning up for the talk. Thanks so much.